Okay, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. Today's comedy is about Independence Day and my experience at my girlfriend's lake house. She was so excited that I got to meet her Uncle Beans. And she built him up to someone who was larger than life. And I couldn't wait to go meet Uncle Beans. And this kind of personifies my experience. Look at Dutch boy. Nevertheless, I went all the way up to her lake house, and I walked right in, and I saw a man sitting at the table. A tall, skinny man in his early 80s, wearing a white shirt buttoned down, and blue jeans, and nice shoes. And I looked right at him and noticed right away he had a fresh shave and a nice flat top. And I said, "My name is Dominic." And he said, "Beans. My name is Beans." And I sat down and I talked to him, and immediately I knew that I would forge a close kinship with Beans. And we walked outside to the fishing dock, and I sat right next to Beans, and I interviewed him about his life. I was fascinated with him. I wanted to know about him. It turns out that he worked in the financial industry, and he worked as a carpenter and a roofer and a handyman manager, items of that nature. And I was taken by him. It was so glaringly obvious that I'm pretty sure that her father was a little bit jealous of the fact that I was so interested in Beans. And then we went on the boat, and I said to my girlfriend, "I'm going to help Beans because he's older." And she said, "Beans don't want your help. Beans don't want your help." And we jumped on the boat, and I extended my hand to help Beans get on the boat. And he gruffly looked at me and looked away and shook his head, and he jumped right on the boat. But this was the most interesting part of the story. Later on into the night, I noticed that everybody had changed into their pajamas. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, except Beans. It was 10:30 at night, and an 80-year-old man was sitting there watching the television, fully dressed and 100% linked into what was going on. And everybody else was half asleep and wearing pajamas, but not Beans. Beans sat there and he watched TV at 100%. And I said to my girlfriend, "Why doesn't he change into his pajamas?" And she said, "You'll never see Beans in his pajamas." And I also recall that during the fireworks, immediately when the fireworks were over, Beans took his chair and disappeared away. And I said to my girlfriend, "Why didn't Beans say goodbye?" And she looked at me and said, "Beans doesn't do goodbyes." And the next day, everybody woke up and they were in pajamas early in the morning at the breakfast table at 10 o'clock. But not Beans. He was fully dressed. And, I mean, you just don't see this guy in his pajamas. And you don't see this guy with a perfect flat top looking 100%. And then before you know it, Beans and her father went out on the boat. And it was almost time for us to go. And I just remember looking at Beans on the boat and smiling. And I saw him catch a fish. And I looked up towards the heavens, thankful that I had met this man named Beans. And I saw him with a smile on his face out into the distance in the dock, realizing that he had long forgotten my name, probably the second I introduced myself to him. And I looked up towards the heavens, towards the bright yellow sun, and I said, "So long, partner."